more than a lot of people because I have such a big client base already.
We're a little early, but we'll get started.
Are we the only ones in here?
I don't know if the New York guys are going to make it today. They are. One of them's traveling. Luke is traveling, and I don't know what Zach's doing. If he pops in at 9:30, that's fine. We're a little early, right?
Are we?
9:24.
Yeah. So, just to bring you up to date on a few things, this is not a Sandler class.
Okay.
I'm not permitted to sell Sandler
Okay.
this week.
He said it was with
Who knows what he's going to say next week? But this week he specifically said that I am training you how to sell in my business, how to sell PEO, employeronomics, things like that, because I'm permitted to do that. That was not our original agreement, but this is agreement now. So he wants you all to go to his class on Tuesdays in Altamont, and you can go for free for one and check it out. So if you're interested, let me know. Tuesdays from 9 to 11 up at it's on North Lake Boulevard.
Tuesday, that's Oh, Tuesday from where?
From
9 to
9 to 11
a.m.
Yep.
And where? North Lake?
Yeah, if you get off I-4 and you get in the right lane, stay in that right lane. The next light is North Lake. And then you go down
You
the
get off of I-4 from where we are.
Yeah.
Make a what? Make a
right.
Right.
You know, on 436 in Altamont, and then
Right
just
lane.
stay in the right turn lane.
By the
and
old
then
Westgate Mall.
And then make the next right. That's North Lake Boulevard. And you go all the way up to the 600 block. There's Suite 630, I think. But there's signs, once you park in the 600 block parking lot, you'll see the signs that say Sandler this way, and it will take you to his office and classroom. It's a great class. I mean, when they were there when I started, they were in Maitland when I started, but I have been going to his classes. I attend them online now, but he would like to meet everybody in person, see, if wants to make sure I'm teaching it right.
And he wants to make sure we're learning the employeronomics.
That, he's not going to be that anal about it, but he just said, look, that he could get in trouble if Sandler Corporate believed I was selling in a different location. And that's what he says. I disagree because I'm his agent. I'm working for him. I'm an associate with that. But he does, he has a right to ask us to meet the people that are learning from his franchise. So
is he teaching to anyone?
Yeah.
Any business?
He's wide open Sandler training.
So I have a question.
Well, you always have questions, huh?
What question do you have?
I'm messing with you.
Now, I missed it yesterday. I could have sent you they had an executive briefing yesterday.
For this
For
person.
Sandler, yeah.
It's like a free briefing they do once a month.
He does twice a month.
Twice a month.
It's called Why Salespeople Fail, and it is an excellent class.
I went to one for years ago, John.
I went to several of them, and every time, even though it's word for word the same class, I learned something different. Each
Yeah.
time I go. That's how good it is.
But yeah, it sent her the link so she can put it on her calendar so she'll remember to go.
I'm out at Lake Mary
Maitland.
Tuesday mornings at 7:30. So
What time is the
when I
class?
finish, I just
What's this called?
She goes to Toastmasters on Tuesday.
Oh, Maitland, 7:30. What time's it done?
Lake Mary. It ends at 8:30.
Oh, it's perfect. You're right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, she's like, actually, she got a Maitland on class. When's the class, John?
9.
Okay.
And it's
What days
I
and
just want to
Tuesdays?
check it out.
Yeah, well, that's all. You're allowed to go crash a class for free. Just tell them you're one of my strategic partners or something. John Tenney sent me.
Okay.
And you can walk in, and he will be glad to let you sit in on one class, and as long as you meet with him afterwards and talk about becoming one of his students. Well, that's fair, right?
Yeah.
You're going to his class. He has the right to ask you that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
You
this.
gonna Sandler me?
I hope so. He should, right?
Okay.
He is Yoda. I am Obi-Wan. He is Yoda.
Oh, okay.
And he's short like Yoda too.
Oh,
He's only like
okay.
5'4". He's not, but he's the most intimidating 5'4" person I've ever met in my life. I'm saying this thinking he's going to see this recording sometime, but it's true. He's a very intimidating. He's a high D. Remember we did the disc thing?
Yeah,
He's a high D.
okay.
In fact, he's a DC. Don't care. But he's good at what he does. Oh, hey, Zach joined us. Good morning, Zach. He doesn't have his mic on yet. I assume Luke is traveling. All right. Anyway, he's with us. So, decision. Last week we did, I want to hear about, did you get any budgets for anybody last week? Did you have any wins or losses? Did you ask anybody any questions?
Go ahead. No, you go ahead, mine's very mine.
They're all major.
Had a couple meetings with some prospects and whatnot, and the wins for that are no appointments on the schedule, but let me find a time on my calendar I can get with you, kind of things. And other than that, but I had a couple losses too. People were like, I'll talk to you in a couple of years. So I was like, I want to choke you.
That's a clear future.
So,
That means
no.
Yeah,
that means I don't want to talk to you for a couple of years. Okay, at least you know not to waste any more time on that one. But let me talk about the ones who said I want to put a time on my calendar.
He does. He said I have to. His problem was he has 2 kids, and they're both in preschool or just about to go.
Without getting into your actual business, get into the details of the meeting.
What I'm getting at is the meeting was great. He wants to move forward, but he has no way to watch. He has to wait for his parents to come down and watch the kids set a date on him.
So you left without setting a date for the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he had to talk to his wife and find time for his parents.
Okay.
So,
Morning, Chris. So you don't have a meeting scheduled?
no, not yet. I got to reach out to him again this week.
Okay. What did I teach you?
Always ask for an appointment.
Don't
Always.
leave without the next appointment. That's enough.
It's not enough.
No.
It's nothing right now.
It's a continued build rapport instead of appointment.
It's a
Okay.
person in its funnel.
It's somebody. No, he's not in the funnel yet.
Oh.
He's on the edge of the
He's in
funnel.
my bow wave in front of me.
Yeah. There's a funnel here. He's out on this. He's out on the rim of the funnel.
He's not on the rim.
He's not on the rim.
Oh.
No, because you don't have a meeting, right? Now, does it mean it's dead? No, but it's not alive.
He's still a prospect. He's still showing lots of interest.
He's zombie-ish. You need to. Oh, that's cool, Zach. You turn the lights off.
Yeah, for some reason the screen today is a lot.
I got you down. Hold on. Let me try now. If I mute my mic, it doesn't record for some reason. So let's see what happens if I mute my mic. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that the screen today is a little bit darker, so having the lights off, I can see what's on the board a lot better.
Oh, good. Well, as long as you can hear us.
Yeah.
So did you have a win or loss from this week, Zach?
Just more of the same old stuff. You know, I'm calling on companies that it looks like they might have packaging that we can do, and either they say they already have, they're happy with their supplier, or there's no need that they're looking for one, or it's overseas. So I had quite a few losses this week.
Losses are better than nothing. Do you have any appointments set up because of those meetings?
No, because they were saying they wouldn't want to set up a meeting because they're already satisfied with what they have.
Okay, well, you found out that they don't need you.
Yep.
Okay. That's a positive result from how can I do this where I'm not? Okay, that's a positive result. He found out that there's nothing there. There was no pain identified.
Correct.
So that's what I want to ask you, Steve. These guys you sat down with, what's their pain?
The pain for one is he knows he needs plan for retirement. He just went through Hurricane Michael, lost everything up there. He trained plenty down here, so he has he's in limbo right now. So like pain, scared of more loss, I guess.
Is it personal? Did you
It
think,
had to be personal. I mean,
okay, I mean, how much is he losing by not being with you?
I don't know.
Okay, that's where we want to get to. You want to quantify the pain, and you also want to make it personal. Like, if you don't let me handle your account, what's gonna go wrong?
Well, with that, he wants that. We can't find a time to get it. He's got to find a time for his kids.
All right.
So I told him, it's best for me, your wife, and your kids, so you're focused on the finance. So he's nobody to watch his children. That's the only whole.
In that situation, is it good just to schedule a time, and then if they can't make it because they couldn't get their kids to be watched, then they cancel and reschedule?
I would do that. I would set up a date, where, let's say 2 weeks from now, would you be able to get a sitter by then? Or do you want to meet at your house where the kids are there?
See, I didn't offer that, and I can. What I mentioned is I put it out there to be best if you're in a spot where you're not distracted and whatnot, so you can focus on it. So, maybe my mistake.
Can I give you a little tip? The kids are going to distract you a lot more than they're going to distract them.
Okay.
Do you have kids? Okay, you have kids.
I got a cat.
I mean, you can be sitting and the cat may come in and interfere, but you're still listening to the person talking. You can be yelling at the cat, get off the screen. You're still listening to the person you're talking to, right? Believe it or not, it's distracting the person you're talking to more than it's distracting you. When you're sitting down in somebody's house and they're yelling at the kids, they're still listening to you.
Okay.
They're used to that.
I was giving advice to let them come to the office with the kids. Just let's see what kind of age range the kids are, and have coloring books or a TV or something for them to just be distracted. And do it at a low business time of day so there's nobody else around.
Can I ask you something? Are they going to be paying attention to you, or are they going to be worried about what the kids are doing in the other room?
I don't know.
See, I'd be worried about, are the kids in the other room
gonna
destroying
wreck
property?
Yeah.
Am I going
Finding
to go in there and see what are they going to cost me this time? Because that's how we are with kids. So I would say, would it be worthwhile to ask them, like, hey, I can come to your place, or you can bring your kids to my office. Which do you feel more comfortable with? Remember, we want them to feel okay.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Feel okay. Completion.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, and which way are you going to feel better? Are you going to feel better in my office with your kids in the other room, or are we going to feel better in your living room?
He'd feel a lot better at his place. I guarantee. I know he would.
Well, then that's probably what you want him to suggest to you.
I agree with that. So I'm actually driving to Claremont tomorrow to do the same thing at somebody else's house because he wants to be there. So.
In your business, I think getting into living rooms is probably a good place to be.
I think so, because our financial advisor does that with us. He says, well, I can come to you.
Yep.
You're very comfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, now that was a loss for me. My win was I had
that one's not a loss yet. It's a nothing.
Yeah, okay. It
was a mistake, but it's not a loss. We all make mistakes.
It's my growing pain.
Yeah.
My win was last week I came here and I had a contact with the hospital. That was a potential prospect or whatever. I was able to talk to her this week. We actually got a date on the calendar to sit down and talk for 2 weeks from now. So
good.
It was a win. I was actually getting to the point now that she was excited. She's dragging her husband along. She's like, he's gonna do whatever I tell him to do, kind of thing. So I was like,
Are they military as well?
no, she's a nurse and he works on I-4. So.
Wow.
In most cases, if the woman's saying that, it's probably correct.
I agree.
And when the guy's saying that, it's probably not correct.
I disagree.
What?
I disagree.
You disagree?
Dude. If they have a good relationship, it can go either way. Doesn't matter.
He means if a guy's saying
If a
it.
guy says my wife will go along with whatever I say,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And I was thinking
yeah,
something else.
that's
yeah.
probably
I
not
thought
correct.
you were thinking something else.
I mean, we have a matriarchal society, in spite of what CNN says. The men make the decisions with the women's permission. And that's why it's not slavery. Because they let us make decisions.
You make decisions, they don't like you, go home, you hear about it.
Right.
Yeah, I know, I agree.
And it's not a bad thing. It's
You should write
balanced
this
out.
down, please.
And it's actually, it's scriptural. It says the man's the head of the household with the woman's permission.
More or less.
The old says, I'm the captain of this ship and I have my wife's permission to say so.
Okay, honey, one word, race
Yeah, exactly.
car.
She let me make that decision and then let me know how much she regretted me making that decision for years to come.
The consequences of your actions.
Yes, but you let me do it because you wanted to teach me a lesson.
We could turn it into Sandler marriage counseling. Very good idea.
That, you've got to be careful with that because when you get into real pain research for some of these people,
Oh,
you
yeah.
you will find yourself in the position of a counselor. And that's when you've got to go like, hey, wait, I'm not a counselor. I'm just here to talk about this little issue. I know we got into all this other stuff, but let's go back. With you might have to.
I have to, because I have to basically pin husband versus wife sometimes. It's like, I don't even think if I don't care. I said, what do you think about that? So, I mean, so you got to pin them against each other. Just
No,
make-
but you sit back
So, have
and
a
you go,
conversation.
it's called let's him and you fight.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get in the fight. Don't take sides. It's like, hey, I'm just the neutral third party here.
Mhm.
You two decide. I've been in that situation. I've been in meetings sort of like what Zach goes into where he's dealing with multiple decision makers, which we're going to talk about today. And you need to find out who really are the decision makers and who's going to make the decision, and then you need to let them make it. Sandler talks about he was in a conference room with 15 people, and they were going to make a decision today. And he said, you're going to make a decision? Yeah. Okay. Well, what do you need to do? He says, well, we need you out of the room. Why? Because you want to talk about it without me here. Yeah. Well, that's fine. I understand that. So I'm going to go outside and sit on the step while you make the decision. And they said, well, it could be a while. I says, how long? He says, it could be overnight. You're going to wait? He goes, how hard is the step? If I got to sit on there all night, how hard is it? And he said, we'll wait. We'll make our decision right now. Give us 15 minutes. He goes, so he went outside and he sat on the step for 15 minutes. And he went back in and he just sat down. He didn't say a word. Do you want to hear a decision? And he goes, I don't know. Do I? Yeah, you do. We decided to go with you, but you got it. And Zach's going to be Zach, you're going to ask that. How hard's the step?
Sounds good.
If you want, because they're going to ask you to leave the room and they're going to want to make the decision and talk about it without you there. But remember in your upfront contract, you said we're going to leave today with a decision.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back in and ask you for a yes or a no. And if they give you a maybe, well, that's a no. You have to take that as a no. You can even say that. Well, you're saying maybe, and we agree we weren't going to say maybe, so should I just take that as a no? And then let them talk you out of it. Anybody else win or loss? How about you, Chris? Oh, Denise.
So kind of a win, kind of a loss. The loss is that the person who orders our products is not actually taking them. And so then
What are they doing with them?
I don't know.
Just putting them up on the shelf. Oh, they look so pretty.
Reselling them?
No, just not just like got the package, opened it up, took maybe one or two, and then put them away. And then I'm like, well, they don't work if you don't take them. And then I said, let me just say, your next order is coming. You need to make a decision because I don't want them to.
Is this actually what happened? What you're
Yes.
saying? Okay,
Yeah.
what is she not doing? No, hold on.
What am I not doing?
What is it that she's not doing that she should be doing? She's not asking questions, but she's telling him.
Right. So that was my loss, and I know why that was a loss.
So if you would, rather than saying they're not going to work unless you take them, couldn't you say,
Why?
what's the person's name? Just
John.
Don?
Just,
Say John.
John? Okay, so John,
Yeah.
can I ask you something? If you don't take these things, are they still gonna help you?
yeah. Oh, this was purely through text, and this person does not
Oh.
respond
Why don't we like text?
because it's not
You'd be taken the wrong
personal.
way.
Yeah.
There's no tonality.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
know.
physicality.
How many times you showed me a text and you said, I can't believe they're saying that? I said, I always tell the wife, I said, you don't know what that's good or bad. There's no tone. You can't tell.
Texting is a great tool, but we got to remember what it's for. It's to set up either a phone call or a face-to-face, isn't it?
Mhm.
So you need to text John and say, John, is there a time we can talk?
Right.
I don't like this texting because I'm afraid I'm going to be misinterpreted. You can say that. Can we talk? I have a shortcut always. You know how your text always puts up. If I start pressing C,
Yeah.
it says, can you talk?
Yeah.
Hit it right away because I want to get him off the text and on the phone and say, listen, can I ask you a question? If you're not taking these, are they going to help you? And
Yeah.
make them answer it. Because you want to be in question mode, right? You don't want to just tell them, look, you need to make a decision. Nobody, if I say that to you, Denise, you need to make a decision. How do you feel right now?
Panicked.
And not okay,
Yeah.
right? I'm up here, you're down there. We want to reverse that. Like, John, do you feel like you need to make a decision? You just passed it over to him, right? Now it's his decision. And he'll say, no, I'm going to get around to using them. And then you see, I feel bad. I don't want to sell you something you're not going to use. That's not why I got into this.
That's
That's not
basically what I told them.
Is that why we got into this? I mean, we got into this as a partnership. Is it over? That's a tough question to ask. But that's one of those tough questions. You look at something and go, is it over? If they say, yes, it's over, guess what?
So,
It's probably over. If they say, no, it's not over, then you go, well, what's wrong? Remember, you're always staying on the negative side of the pendulum, right? You're always trying to get them to drag you over to 3 o'clock, which is the same. You stay over there, like if they're at 5, you're at 6. If they're at 8, you're at 9. Because you always want them pulling you towards the sale. And what I heard there was you were telling, not asking. And I mean, don't we want to avoid that?
Yeah. Let me see.
If you learn one thing out of these classes, it's that you're not there to tell people things. You're there to ask them things. Right? Isn't that what you're there for? To gather information?
Mhm.
When someone sits down with you, and I just sit here and start spewing out, blah, 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 are you learning?
No,
But when I ask you, what did you hear there?
a bunch of words, everything cares.
Right. But you had to think about it, didn't you?
When I make to make a response, yes.
Yes.
Should get people to think.
Am I going to do better if I get you involved or not?
well,
Yes.
of course.
That's instructor 101.
Well, isn't that true when you're with your client? Are you going to do better if they're involved or not? So,
Yeah.
questioning strategies. It's an essential part of this training system. Let's see. Whatever. Okay, so we reviewed the cell. Let's go back. We know we're using bonding and rapport. We're using our upfront contracts, aren't we? Is everybody using an upfront contract? Have you used any this week?
Well, yeah.
Can you give me an example of an upfront contract you used this week? Zach, you can jump in on this too. Did you use an upfront contract in those meetings?
I never had the opportunity. Everyone kind of was very quick about shooting me down, making it painless.
So when you talked to them, you said, okay, at the end of this, we can go this way or that way?
Well, it was kind of just starting out, just, hey, how's everything going? And a lot of it was over LinkedIn, so they saw who, the company I worked for and what I was doing. And within a couple of minutes, a lot of them were saying, I appreciate you reaching out, but we're okay. There's no need to get into anything specific.
Okay, so when you're talking to them, did you ask them like, how do you want this to end?
Not really, because it was more, hey, how's your day going? Doing good. Appreciate it. How's business? Business is good, and we're not looking for a supplier. I don't really have the time to say, you know, how do you want this to end, because they clearly have already ended it.
You're leading me into something I wanted to talk about today, which is how to do business over LinkedIn, but I'm going to write that down so we get back to that.
I think that's all.
You just don't have John.
There's one thing I do want you all to stop doing is whenever you call somebody or reach out on LinkedIn or phone, don't ask them how they're doing, how their day is going. Because there's two reasons. One, you really don't care.
True.
Isn't that true? And two, they might actually tell you, and then you have to listen to all their problems.
Doesn't that go into building rapport?
Yeah.
No. I'll tell you why. Because anybody who's an experienced salesperson, as soon as they hear the phone say, how are you today? What do they know? It's a cold call. It's a sales call, right? If you pick up your phone and says, hey, Steve, how are you today? And it's someone you don't know. It's very insincere. Instead, it's go not okay on them. Do something like, I'm not sure you're the right person to talk to. Hey, you connected with me on LinkedIn. Why?
Put him on the spot right then and there. You connected with me on LinkedIn.
That's a
Why?
little. See, I noticed you accepted my connection. I'm curious. What was it about my profile that inspired you to accept my connection?
I have gotten that line from a lot of people. They must
Yeah.
have gone through your training.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
there-
sometimes I feel like that's a sales line.
But
Yeah.
it opens up a conversation, though. Okay,
But then I'm already like guarded.
but you can even say, look, I looked into your profile and I saw you did this, this, and that, and I might be interested in talking about that. But
Okay.
I'm curious, what'd you see on mine?
Okay.
That-
That I can
that
handle. I
it-
wouldn't think too
So
much.
when I reach out to people on LinkedIn, I do, this is verbatim when I talk to everyone, I do my initial talk, and then I go into specifics when they make a connection. I'm like, hey, so-and-so, you popped in my people you may know, all second connection. I saw we both did X, Y, and Z, we both did something, served our country or supported this cause and whatnot. And that's, and I actually love it. And I would love to connect with you at LinkedIn. If you don't want to connect right now, hit ignore. I say hit ignore to give them a chance not to, but every single time, everybody's always connecting. Then I'm like, thank you for connecting.
You went negative, right?
Yeah, tell them to ignore. And after that, he connects. It's like, thanks for connecting with me. Like I said, my connection request, this is why I wanted to. Would you like to start a conversation or start a dialogue if you're interested in chatting?
This is what was the, this is why I wanted to. Was it about your product?
I didn't say anything about what I wanted to do. I just
Okay.
said, you want to start a dialogue. I'd
Good.
like to talk to you. So that's basically how I start the first two conversations, then we just start rolling. So
When someone accepts your LinkedIn, why are they doing it?
to
Don't
grow
we-
their network, they want to grow their network. It's all about them.
Yes,
And,
it's all
see
about their
see what I
business.
can provide value for them.
So when I accept somebody, and I've noticed you guys get this, you accept a LinkedIn invitation, then you get the 10 paragraph, this is what we do, blah, 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 blah. Here's a link to a video, here's our website. When do you have 15 minutes to talk?
Take a look at that on my page, I share it.
Do you know what I answer that to? He goes, does this shit still work? And I do say that literally. Does this shit still work? And they get a little offended. And I say, listen, I teach sales training. And right now, I'm not interested in your product at all because it looks like it's all about you and nothing about me. Is that really how you are? And it's a little brusque, but they sent me the invitation. They're asking to be in my life.
What if it's somebody that you sent an invitation to?
Now I say, listen, I thank you for accepting my invitation. I saw this about you that I want to talk about it. What is it that you saw about me? How do you see us working together? Because it's networking. LinkedIn is a social network.
What about you? The thing that you said, you popped up in my, people you need to meet or people you may know or whatever.
Second connections and all of this.
Yeah, and I see that you're friends with John Tenney. John Tenney is
That's a good one.
whatever about John or
Well,
whoever it is.
see, the da-da-da-da-da is important. I see you're friends with somebody I know. So I thought it might be worthwhile to connect with you. I see you've accepted. What did you think was worthwhile? You end it with a question, not with a, when can we get 15 minutes to talk so I can sell you life insurance or sell you a mortgage?
You know, a lot of what I do is I ask to start a dialogue about how our journey got to us where we are right now.
Yeah.
And most of us serve the military that I connect with. Let's start dialogue and see how we got to where we are now. And that just builds, for me, that builds trust.
That's excellent. So that's what your purpose in connecting with is, not to sell to them.
Yeah.
No, you want them to refer you. Wouldn't you rather have remember the rule of 250? Who knows the rule of 250? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to erase your daughter's picture here. But think about,
Which way 250 to the next one?
and this is just an arbitrary number. You don't need this anymore, do you? Okay. An arbitrary number, but you've got, this is your sphere of influence. You're in the middle. Here's all the people you know. This is me up here. Right? We connected because of this connection right here, right? The rule of 250 says that over here, there's 250 people that you know that I don't know, right? Everybody knows at least 250 people you don't know. Now, do I want to sell to you?
Oh, I got you.
Or do I want to, get this whole group, okay? So every time you connect with somebody, it's not that, it's so hard. I still do it. I connect with somebody and go, oh, this person is a great prospect for me. I still do it. I'm guilty. And sometimes I even catching myself, vomiting sales all over. So, I've been doing this 10 years. I still make this mistake. But I got to remember, they know 250 people I don't know who are, there's a person out there that they know who is a much better prospect for me than they are, right? Just the odds are. That's correct. So when you connect with someone on LinkedIn, you got to remember that it shows you all those second levels, but that's the point. It's that second and third level down where you're going to make your living.
So how do you approach them? Do they know that's what you want?
You could say that.
Yeah.
You say you might be a prospect for me, but I'm more interested in those 250 people you know that I don't know. And I bet you are too. Are you interested in the 250 people I know that you don't know? How do we work together to make sure we introduce each other to the right people? Now, when someone does that to me, first of all, I ask them, are you Sandler trained? I want to find that out right away. But that's in the Sandler LinkedIn course too, which we will get into at some point. I'm just giving you an overview of it. But LinkedIn, Facebook, all of the social medias, I don't use Twitter, but Instagram, whatever you happen to be using, when you connect with somebody, resist the urge to send them the ad.
I never use
We lost that.
any of this stuff. Any time I go to a networking meeting, it's never about trying to talk to somebody, never about my products.
That's correct.
The whole process is just to gain a sales force outside of my own sales force. I can't be everywhere. I'm one guy. We're a small business. So I need people out there selling for me, looking for opportunities for me. So I don't want to. Could I push my services to everybody that I meet? Yeah, I could do it. Because who doesn't use IT?
Right.
Who doesn't use phone service? Every single business uses IT and phone service. Do I bother with it? No. I meet them. Everybody knows what I do. Hopefully they heard about somebody who needs it. Now, if they approach me that they want my services, I'm not going to deny any of my services. But my goal is to get that person to be thinking about what it is I want them to find for me. And the biggest thing about these meetings that we go to LinkedIn
And how do you do that?
building that trust.
No. What do you do? How do you build the trust?
Well, it's getting one-on-one meetings with them, getting to know them, showing up at meetings regular basis.
You're almost there.
You gotta come with your hands full.
You bring stuff. Yeah.
You will say, who do you want to meet?
Yeah.
Who
Exactly.
do I need?
Yeah,
See, if
How do I
I
help
introduce,
you? Yeah, that's part of the one-on-one meeting you have.
that's the
When
That's
I-
one-on-one. How do we help? How do I help you? Do we have a one-on-one meeting?
Network is to set up that one-on-one. Do we have a one-on-one meeting so we set up, see how we can work together?
That's
Yeah.
exactly.
that's a B&I thing, that one-on-one. I don't think you necessarily
But
need
it's
to
still
do
the one-on-ones because you're not going to learn enough about somebody at that one little meeting because it's so crowded, so many people. You can't hear anything half the time in those meetings.
Welcome back.
What I'm
No.
saying is I use them as opportunities to see if I can make a good connection with somebody. Hopefully we have a way to help each other. And I have a way to help you and you have a way to help me. Yes, I've been in business since 1996. You know I know a hell of a lot of people in Orlando.
But when you're sitting at the meeting, Phil and Mark do it great at that Monday meeting. Is they say, do the quick 15-second, and then afterwards go talk to somebody and say, who are you looking for? I've done that. And since you go every week and get to know people, I mean, I know who needs Angie. Okay. I know who needs to meet you. Because why? Because we've been going there for a long time and we get to know each other. But LinkedIn is sort of like that. You can't think of it as a quick hit. It's not a quick hit. You don't walk into one of those networking meetings and walk out with a sale. Nope.
You want to be known as a person that has referred somebody to somebody.
Yep.
If Mark Stowell, for example, if you've talked to Mark for a long time and you know him, he's a great guy and he's a nice guy, but he's not going to give you the time of day if you've not given him a referral. You know? But give Mark Stowell a referral. I'm just picking out Mark Stowell as an example. I can do that about John. I can do that about anybody. But give Mark Stowell a referral, and he'll talk about it in the meetings. So-and-so gave me, you know, this great referral at this great restaurant or, you know, whatever, whether it panned out or it didn't.
Yep.
You gave him somebody.
Now there's also
So that's kind of the whole, networking thing is you've got to go to the networking meetings looking for who you can help and not with your hands out. You can't have your hands out. You got to have your hands full.
it's better to make them feel so guilty.
Yeah.
That's not the reason why you do it. It's
Yes,
not
it
a
is.
guilt.
It's
Don't listen to
absolutely
them.
the
No.
reason you do it. You want to make them say, gosh, that person's given me 3 referrals. I need to find them someone. And that's not a selfish thing to do.
Yes, it is.
Well, then it's not an altruistic thing to do, but it's how free market works. You know, it's capitalism. You're thinking long term. You're helping people because someday you know it's going to come around and come back to you. Right? In
If
business.
I give somebody 3 referrals
Yeah.
and they've not given me anything back, but they talk about it, they've given it back to me because the other people in the room know that I give referrals
Okay. Well,
and they want to be a part of that.
It's
So
still
no, that's bullshit.
there's a
Sorry.
Angie. There's a reciprocation, is what I'm talking about.
Well, you can't
If you
make
give
people
someone
feel
3
guilty and go
referrals-
into it that you want them to feel guilty.
If you give someone 3 referrals and they never give you anything back, never.
Okay, even if they talk about it?
I'm saying no. They didn't even talk about it.
Oh,
They gave them 3 referrals. They never did anything to help you back. Are you inclined to give that person a referral again? Right?
I just don't think that 2 wrongs make a right.
That's not too wrong. It's just that look,
You might, that's my thing, too, would be eventually you find somebody else to refer out other than that person that's more.
They do a really good job.
if they do a really good job, but there's a lot of people that do a really good job.
They
And
might reciprocate the referral
There's
process.
a lot of people.
It's not just the person
Yeah.
that you're referring to, the person you gotta think about the person you're referring to that person. Are they
yeah,
gonna take
I
that?
really trust that person. I mean,
I
I'm not
remember-
sending a referral unless I really trust that person. Let's use Ronnie for an example. Ronnie,
Hold on, right?
accountant.
Now,
Yeah.
I understand you're coming from a moral high ground, which is a good place to come from. But there are different spots on the moral high ground. I know, we don't want to be totally selfish all the time, but nobody's going to look out for you like you. Right?
I don't know that I trust any other accountants to refer other than Ronnie. And he has given me referrals, but even if he didn't, I would still refer him.
I referred Ronnie, and he's never given me a referral. But you know why?
You trust him.
No, because he does a good job.
He
And I
does.
assume that someday
Well, that's what I mean by trust.
he's going to come into a situation where he does need somebody to do something I do. See, right now, Ronnie sees us as competition. He does, because he does payroll, you know. But I told him, okay, well, you keep doing the payroll that's your size. This is a good example. But I am going to refer him because he does say, like you said, he says good things about us.
He's got really good prices.
Yeah, he's very economical.
He's got better prices than any other accountants that I've ever come across in any of the other groups.
For his niche, he's a great accountant.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't refer a company with 100 employees to him.
He doesn't want that company.
Right. It's not a good match for him.
Right.
So I would go to
He
a
would
different-
refer that to somebody better. So if you do
Right.
refer it to him, his
Right.
integrity will give them somebody better. So
Okay.
I don't agree with make them feel guilty. They've got to give you something back. They got to give you something back. When I give a referral to somebody,
All right,
that's an
you're
extension
taking
of
me
me.
literally.
Yeah.
You're getting a little too literal about it. When I say make someone feel guilty, it's a friendly guilty. Like, hey, you owe me. Okay?
All right.
And I will say that. I don't ever say to somebody, forget about it.
That's that passive aggressive joking thing. I'm gonna say this as a joke, but I'm really serious.
Well, it is partially serious. I mean, a relationship is a give and take thing, Andrew. All relationships are give and take.
So I think that you also, like, naturally somebody would feel a little guilty if they weren't referring back.
Right.
Without a referral.
It's not an
It's
evil
not that you're
thing.
doing it on purpose. I think
Right.
it's mostly natural.
I just don't think you should go in with that mindset. I think you should just give because you like and know and trust that person and you know
All
they're
right,
gonna do
you're
a
going
good job.
down the rabbit hole here, which
Not
we're
even
not.
mindset.
we're not
It's
gonna
saying
go down-
That's there.
We're not going to go
Put it
down.
out.
We're not going down the rabbit hole. But what I'm saying is that whenever somebody does something for you, or you do something for somebody and they thank you, you don't just go, don't mention it. What you say is, I'm sure if the situation reversed, you would do the same for me.
Okay, I like that.
All right,
Yeah.
so that's all
That's
it
not
is.
where you were going though. You were
Yeah,
like, make them
no,
feel
that's-
guilty.
That's where I was going.
And you go in with the mindset of make them feel guilty.
I don't know where you were going. That's where I was
This is
going.
how we communicate. Venus, Mars. It's
Yes.
how we,
Venus and
think,
Mars.
yeah.
Okay.
women think.
So getting back to the sub, when you get an upfront contract, and part of your upfront contract when you connect with somebody on LinkedIn is like, how are we going to work together? It's not about how can I sell to you, and it's certainly not about how can you sell to me. But we do know that people have self-interest. It's not a bad thing. It's a natural human condition. But we
Would I
want
be
to
able to
align
real-
self-interests, get them working together. That's what networking is, where my self-interest and your self-interest are working together. We come up with a win-win, right? It's not a zero-sum game. So that's your upfront contract. And then, we've talked about pain. What's the rule about pain? Several rules. Anybody give me a rule about pain?
Take less aspirin.
It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Pain in the sense of finding pain.
Personal.
Is anyone going to change?
Until they hurt.
Nothing happens until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing,
Okay, that's
right? That's one rule I want you to know. No one's going to switch to you until it hurts so bad that if they keep going on, they have to switch, right? We know this in our business. When we try to get someone to change their HR system, unless it's really painful, they're not going to do it because it's out of the way. Well, ADP's doing a great job. ADP's ripping me off, but not enough to make it, There's a story about a guy walking along in New Hampshire or something, up in the backwoods, and he comes along this guy on a porch with a dog. And every once in a while, the dog just goes, "Wah!" Just yells. They go, why is your dog yelling? He goes, well, he's sitting on a nail. Well, why doesn't he move? Well, it doesn't hurt enough to move. It just hurts enough to yell.
Right.
Okay?
So
There's a
you
lot of
said
people out there sitting on nails.
Nothing changes until the pain of staying the same is greater than the what?
Pain of changing. Because remember, it's always a pain to change. People don't like change. They only want change when it hurts. Obama knew that. That's how he got elected. He said it's time for a change, right? He made people feel the pain. He was a master at doing that, by the way. He made the whole country think they were in pain and he was going to fix it. Whether he fixed it or not is up to you. But did he win that election? By a landslide. Okay? Because he got America feeling the pain. And they said, we need to fix this. The pain of staying the same is worse than the pain of change. And he, change.org. How can you make people want to change? So that's the rule. You only get people to change when the pain of changing is less than the pain of doing what they're doing.
And that in those meetings you have with those clients, that's when you reveal all that stuff.
Well,
So you to make them realize it.
They need to know it. They need to tell you that,
Yeah,
hey,
and by asking questions, you get
Right.
that.
they need to tell you that I need to change. Okay?
All right, I'm coming.
So that's what we're in the pain. The pain compartment is all about that, finding out that the pain is worth changing. And until we get it down to where we've actually quantified the dollars, that's third level, right? But then we want to go to fourth level. How does it affect you personally? All decisions are made emotionally. They're only rationalized logically. Any buying decision is an emotional decision.
Yes.
When's the last time you bought a house? Anybody here buy a house recently?
1992.
Yeah.
16.
Year and a half ago.
Was it the logical decision or was it the house you loved? With me, I know I walked in
It
the
was
door.
emotional.
I walked in
Yeah,
the
it was
front.
very emotional.
I walked in the front door of our house and I saw the view of the lake out there. I said, "This is my house. I don't care about the cost." When we found out the cost, we went, "That's a lot." We offered higher than they were asking because we wanted to make sure we got it. Of course, that was in 2005.
My thought was not that. My thought, because my house had green toilets and pink toilets, and
Right, if you buy that way.
yeah, I looked at mine as a moneymaker. How can I fix this and make it
You're-
better and make money?
But you're in the business.
I was a model home, and just the name they had, the name of the home they had, it was called Sandhill, basic training Sandhill.
Ah.
Oh, I got you.
That's got me just by name. It's like 5 times the house size that we need.
And that's not emotional at all, is it?
Not at all.
No. In any buying decision, emotion, if it's not the factor, it's certainly a major factor, and it's more than the money. Don't ever let people convince you that it's all about the money.
Mine was all about money.
No, it's not.
The money makes
Because
you happy and
you
emotional.
proved that the last time you were here. Somebody went to somebody else who was more than you. So it's not about the money, is it? It was about the level of trust. They went with the person that made them feel better emotionally, okay? It's always about who, it's the I'm okay, you're okay thing. Whoever makes you feel okay, makes you feel you made the right decision. That's who you're going to go with in a competitive situation. They'll tell you it's about the money. And yeah, money matters, but it's never more than 40%. There's always another, you need to find out what that other deciding factor is. And it is, I mean, I used to think it was all about the money. I'm wrong. It's not all about the money, okay? Now, we know the ultimate contract. We've talked about pain. We've talked about budget. Because money matters. It's at least a third. But it's only that. It's not everything. There's also the decision. And that's the last piece of the puzzle is figuring out who the decision maker is. Have we ever been in a situation where we thought they had the deal and then found out that we weren't talking to the decision maker? And then what happened?
No deal.
Goes nowhere.
Or at least you had to start all over again, didn't you?
Well, I don't do that.
You don't do that. But other people.
I just go on to the next one. Okay.
Well, I know that you're perfect, Dwayne, but we can't all be perfect.
No, just this mentality. I have too much stuff going on, so it's like if it doesn't work out, I'm on. Because I never had anybody show me how to do it that way, so I didn't know how to get back into these people. So I just instead of
So if, you're
making an
talking,
effort, I went on this.
so if you were talking to the wife to find out that she was like, okay, now you got to talk to my husband, you would say, oh, F you, and go on to the next one?
He doesn't work with husbands and wives.
That's not what I said. I'm talking about not knowing I'm talking to the decision maker. So I'm talking with the office manager, and the office manager made me believe that they're making a decision. And they said, "Oh no, someone's just making a decision." And then I said, "Well, when let me know when." Not knowing I'm staying on the training, like we went through the last 4 weeks. What do? I say, "Okay, great. I'll wait to hear from you." Right? And then I respond back out, and nothing happens after two, three follow-ups. Something happens, you can follow up hell. Like you don't go into that. To me, I just drop it and go do something else. Because I just don't want to waste my time with that anymore. Now, this is before John's training, right? So now you know better to do that. But this is how I've always done things. I've done.
So what are you going to do different now?
It's just the whole. When I start having meetings again with new clients, which I haven't had in a while, I will start using some of the similar stuff. Hopefully, make that process better because I saw 4 deals last year that I could have closed probably.
You're still holding this at arm's length, then, aren't you? You haven't bought into this yet.
No, I just haven't had any sales.
That's why I wanted to hear the examples.
No, because I don't have. Well, this is like. So I sat down like in November with a company that called me on the internet. Again, it's very rarely that I get people that don't know me that I have to talk to.
But you're
Usually it's a really warm referral for me. So
you're thinking this is just for selling to new clients.
Yes, that's in my mind.
Yeah.
My existing clients, I don't. There's no hard sell.
I use this
they all know.
all day, every day with everybody.
I don't.
So my thought process.
You will.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
True.
What is my thought process right now? It's not so much the decision maker and the sales. They're both going to be there and I'm talking to them. But for me personally, I focus on military community.
Yeah.
And there's different levels of command. I've dealt with a lot of
Chain of command. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with a lot of people at the lower level, mid levels that say, yeah, I'm a decision maker for my little small group. But if you start talking to that small group, then their boss is like white fishing in my pond. So you have to go to the actual boss. You got to work your way. Who's the boss kind of thing. Find out who the
So
boss
you're
is.
working your way up.
You work your way up to find the boss. You have a meet with him. Then let's say, okay, yeah, I'll let you talk to my guys as a whole.
Have you ever had to go back down?
To keep the relationships with the guys that led me to the boss, yes, you have to talk to those guys.
I mean, sometimes you get to a point where like, oh, well, there's a person over here who has a say. It's going to affect them.
To a point, no. The company's the highest, so it's about 200 people. Once you get to the boss of the first 200 people, then you're allowed to talk to all those. And he can refer you to another boss that has their own 200 people. So the idea for me is to find that decision maker at that level that's going to let you talk to all the guys below without getting in trouble. So that's my thought process.
So you're working your way up the chain.
Trying to.
Have
And
you
then
ever
hopefully
gone?
across.
Have you ever started?
Have you
at the
done
top?
this? I mean,
Yeah, in the military portion, yes. That's what I'm working on right now with the National Guard.
But I mean, with insurance, do you have examples of doing this and success of doing this, or?
When it comes to insurance stuff, that's after I talk to them and I actually give a presentation on 401ks or TSPs or whatever the stuff is that people come to one-on-one and say, please have an appointment. Then I'll talk to them a whole different thing. I'll be one-on-one with them and their spouse.
Okay, keeping this to what the process.
Yes,
Have you ever gone to the top and started working your way down?
I have gone. I'm sure others have, I have not.
Consider it. Sometimes you want to go right to the top. Like in Zach's case, he should go to the owner of the company, the CEO, and say, you're probably not the person I need to talk to. Can you tell me who I should talk to? And once they refer you down, because then you call up and say, hey, like your boss told me to talk to
But
you.
how do you get to that?
Yeah, the only problem with that is
Trying to say something.
I'm not saying that, we gotta turn that phone.
How do you get to that?
the CEOs of a lot of the companies either.
Oh, Zach, I'm gonna turn you
I
up. Go
can't
ahead.
hear you.
Can you
Can
get
you hear
closer
me?
to the mic?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, the only problem with that is that the majority of the companies that we deal with, the CEOs won't have their contact information online or on LinkedIn. And if you call and you ask to talk to the CEO, they won't put you through to his office or anything. So for us, we're just looking for purchasing agents because even though they're lower in the totem pole, pyramid of things, they're the ones who are making the decisions on what suppliers to go with.
I understand that, but what if I could tell you a way to get to the CEO?
If you can find me the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical company, I'd appreciate that.
How do people get to Bob?
Who's Bob?
Probably mixers and events like that.
Well, I mean, those CEOs go places. They're members of organizations. They have homes. They have lives.
Say Stockholm.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So where are you
Stockholm, I
going?
know where they're going to be at and they show up.
We're going to get into that when we get into prospecting, but there are some ways to get to this. I've got to turn it down because that goes bad. But there are ways to get to the boss. Sometimes you can just call up and say, I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to. I don't even know who your CEO is, but I've identified an issue that might be costing you millions of dollars. It might not. Who should I talk to? Who's the gatekeeper? Remember, the gatekeeper has two jobs.
Let people in, let people out.
Right.
Wow.
Everybody knows their first job, which is to keep you, the salesman, from talking to the people on the other side of them, right? That's their first job. But what do they get in trouble for the most?
Letting them through.
No, by not letting the right one through.
Ah.
If the right person calls and they don't let them through, have you ever seen a secretary get chewed out for not letting somebody through? I have. You didn't let him in? You didn't let him call me? That's my friend from college. You didn't let him in? That's what they fear. Now, you may not be that person, but they don't know that. Okay, their biggest fear is not letting the right person in because that's where they're going to get in real trouble.
How do you find out their name?
Well, sometimes you don't know their name, but on the internet, you can pretty much find anything. If it's a Florida corporation, go to Sunbiz. It lists the officers. Sunbiz.org, Lindsay off. You can find names if you really look. But if you can't, there's a scenario for that too. I've called up and said, listen, I was told to call your CEO and I don't even know the name. If you were me, what would you do? Now, what did I do there?
You know, just have the person on the phone. And you actually,
I
that
went
person's
not
able to-
okay, didn't I?
Yeah.
I'm lost. Help me.
Like the sales guy at Kmart. I don't know if these air conditioners will cool your house, but
Yeah.
we should go look at them.
And now, is it going to work every time? But it'll work enough times. It'll work. If it works 1 out of 10 times, then just make 10 more calls. Okay? It will work. Eventually, you just call up and say to somebody, look, and you're not lying. I really don't know the CEO's name. But I was told to call the CEO. My boss told me to call the CEO, and I'm just a grunt like you are. You know what I'll do sometimes? I'll call the sales department. I'll call it. Let me talk to another salesman. And I'll say, look, I'm not interested in buying your product, but I'm a salesperson like you. I'm a grunt like you are. If you were me, how would you reach your CEO? Sometimes I'll transfer you over. If they think you're worth somebody that's worth talking to, it's the old salesman to salesman, respect level. You can do that. I mean, I got to the owner of Carl Black Pontiac that way. What's his name?
Or what?
No, he's gone. Carl's
I'm
in the
just
live
kidding.
anymore. No, his name is and he's a black guy too. But his
So
name's
Carl
not Carl.
Black wasn't black.
No, I don't know. Was he? I mean, I
I
never
think he
met him. He
was.
was dead before I got over there. But I called up one of the salesmen. I said, look, if you were trying to reach the owner, what would you do? And he goes, call me. I'll send you through.
Is that part of a big dealership or is it just by itself? Is that part of a big group?
At that time, they were by themselves. I don't know if that's changed. There's actually 4 owners over there now. So, but I was trying to reach them to sponsor a bike race. So, no, and I got to them. I told the salesman that's why I want to talk to him.
I think a lot of people in organizations are, like you said, are fearful of not letting the right person or doing the right thing or person that the boss may know. So I was in California and I went on a business trip and I met all these people from Florida that I never knew. Went out to eat with them and I was playing around with the waitress and she asked a question. She goes, well, how do you know Paul? And I said, well, how do you know I know Paul? She goes, I said, we went to different schools together, and she was laughing. And then Angela came over and goes, well, how do you know Paul? Like, this whole Paul thing came up. I didn't know who Paul was. But she was so afraid of not pleasing me and my friends that we had dinner, drinks, everything, and they comped it without even telling us they comped it. And got the cab, found us a place to go dancing, all this other stuff, and give us a hug goodbye without even giving us a bill. Because she was afraid of letting Paul down. I didn't know who Paul was. People are afraid of not pleasing their boss.
2 stories like this that happened. One happened to me. One I saw happen to someone else. I was sitting in one
That
of
is
those.
so freaking cool.
I was sitting in one of those
I was wondering
corporate
where you
waiting
were going
rooms.
with that morning.
You know, one of those corporate waiting rooms. You're just sitting in there, and the phone call came in, and she said, "Well, he's busy right now." And the guy's walking by goes, "Was he looking for me?" He goes, "Yeah, he was. Did you get his name?" "Yeah, here, I'll call him back."
But it wasn't.
Yeah, he was. They were bored. They're bored in there. They want someone to talk to. They're just people like we are. You know, I can't be afraid of this. They got to be CEO because, not because they're superhumans. Okay. They're just like us. They're just at a different stage.
Well, they had to start out somewhere.
Yeah.
So they had to have these relationships, build these networks of people, so they get it.
And they don't want someone who's going to call them up and annoy them. So you go in there and be not annoying.
So I want to know more about your story. So how did you go there?
I'll
And
get-
After.
I'll
Yeah,
tell
why don't you do that
afterwards.
after, okay?
I said that's a great
I
story.
really want to hear that story.
There's a second
I love
story.
it.
This happened to a guy I know who was trying to sell insurance, like you were, and he went into a big company. And he wanted to do the group life policy for this company. And he walked in during lunch, and this was back in the days when everybody was going for lunch, and the lady there was not the normal receptionist. The receptionist was at lunch. And he went, and he just walked in and said, "Is the boss in?" And she goes, "Is he expecting you?" He goes, "I hope so." That's all he said was, "I hope so." This was Dale, by the way, who was here a couple of weeks ago. And he says, "Well, yeah, he's upstairs in his office. Do you know where it is?" He goes, "I think so, but could you just make sure, which floor do I go on?" "Yeah, go on 3rd floor, go down," and she gave him directions. Then he walks into the guy's office and he goes, "Yeah?" He goes, "Yeah, they told me that this is where your office was." He said, "What do you want?" And he sat down and started talking to him about copiers and stuff. And he said, "Stop, wait, you're talking to the wrong guy. I am. Says, yeah. The guy who sells the copiers is down the hall. Who would be handling this is down the hall. What's his name? His name's Joe. You wouldn't mind introducing me to you. I mean, is he here? He better be. I'm paying him to be here. He better be here. Well, you know, because this guy's sitting here eating his lunch out of a brown bag. Everybody else is out to lunch, right? So he sends him down the hall to this guy. And I said, would you walk me down there just so I don't get lost? And he walks him down and he goes, hey, Joe, I want you to talk to Dale here about copiers, okay? And he sits down with him and he walks out with a big order. And later on, he's in there installing the copiers and everything. He goes, so you don't know Bob? No, he goes, I thought you were his brother-in-law.
Oh my goodness.
True story, okay? And all he did he lie?
No.
Not once did he lie. You don't have to do this deceptively. You do not have to be deceptive.
Not directly.
So we don't have to.
Not directly deceptively.
No, you don't have to share everything. You don't have to say, hey, I'm here to sell. Doesn't know me from Adam. I mean, you could try that. It might work.
Clever like a fox.
But I like what he said. Is he expecting me? No, I hope so. I can't wait to use that. But I have been sitting there and seeing them call up, and there's the boss who just left talking to me. Then said, someone called him. Are they looking for me? Go ahead, put them through.
That's a good one for Zach.
That's what Zach needs to do. It's just you need to call up the top and then work your way down. So that's one thing. We're getting ahead of the decision. But I want to talk about the basics of decision making before we totally run out of time. What are we at? Oh, we're okay. 10:25. Who took a journalism course ever? Anybody?
No.
You remember they talk about journalism in high school? They don't do that anymore.
One of our sons
Oh,
is
right.
taking it.
What are the reporters? The reporters are taught to ask when they're doing. Now this is back when we had real journalism, not the crap they have today.
Right.
What do they ask? They ask, you know what the 5 W's are?
Who, what, when, why.
Who, what, where, when, why, and how, right? 5 W's and an H, right? So when you're asking somebody, like, you can ask as simple as this: how do you people make decisions around here? You're talking to someone buying a house. When you made a house before, when you bought your last house, how was that decision made? When you made a big decision that involved your future, the last time you did it, how did you do it? Okay, you can just ask them, how was the decision made? Who's involved? Here's a great line, which I've got this up in a few slides ahead, but I'll skip ahead. Who besides yourself will be involved in this decision? Because there's always somebody else. They have trusted advisors. We all have trusted advisors, don't we? I mean, do I make any major decision without talking to Kathleen?
I hope not.
Not since the race car.
But if you're divorced and you live alone,
You got an accountant, maybe a lawyer.
A dad, an uncle, or somebody that's like,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
always involved. Yeah.
I used to ask my dad. You know, I really wish I could still ask him.
I
about a
wish I
lot
could
of
still
it.
ask my
Yeah.
dad too.
So who's involved? What are the processes you're going to use? What's going to be involved? Where? Is it going to be here or the corporate office in Finland?
Mhm.
For you, Zach, because you're dealing with a lot of international corporations.
Yep.
Where is this decision going to be made? When? Do we have a deadline? When is this going to happen? You have the right to ask these decisions.
Do you have an objection to I'm not in a hurry?
That's fine. What does that mean? When, you're not in a hurry. So I'm looking up on my calendar. I can't find not in a hurry on here. When is that? Can you just give me a date for that? I mean, is there a date? If there's no date, then why are we talking? Then you didn't do the pain step well enough, right? You didn't get enough pain. If they get there and they're not in a hurry, well, then there was no pain.
So where?
Who, what, where, when, why, and how. So you did it that way. Why did you do it that way? Why are you going to do it this way? You don't like it? No, I just want to hear, why are you doing it that way? I want to make sure I don't interfere with your decision process. So would you share with me, how are you going to make the decision so I can help you? Do you want me to help? Now if you remember, you've already gotten the pain, you've already gotten their budget. Now you need to know who's going to make the decision. Because once you have those three things, what do you have? You have pain, you have the budget, and you have the decision. What do you got?
Well, now you got something.
You got the deal.
Yeah.
I mean, what's left, really? So here's some sample questions. I have a little, something I want you to do, an exercise. See, we got good. You two, and you two. I want you to talk to each other, decide who's the buyer and who's the seller. And I want you to have, agree, like say, with you, we need some life insurance, okay? And I want you to ask her questions to find out how she's gonna make that decision. You two figure out who's gonna ask and and I want you to go through that exercise. It'll take 5 minutes to do that.
What is
Yeah,
our
what am I
topic?
selling?
You can decide that. If you want me to make one up for, Chris is selling you a car. And you've already decided what car you want, and what budget you want to spend.
What am I
And
doing?
Chris, you
I'm
ask her how
selling
she's gonna make the decision, okay?
Okay.
Well, you're not-
And I have to part with some coffee.
We're doing what?
You're selling me a car?
Yes.
Oh,
Do we already know
If you
they're
want to change
paying?
it, you've already got the pain, you've already got the budget, now you just want to find out how the decision's being made. You can change it if you want. Practice the questions.
Alright, so,
So,
so who would be involved in,
Me, myself, and I.
how do people, how do
Okay,
you
so
make
what would it
decisions?
be?
So who's the buyer?
Maybe give you a good price.
I get with the wife's
Whoever gives
house.
me the good price.
Okay, that was good. So
Should
why
we
would it be
Even
done?
though I'm getting some life
Because
insurance,
I just go with the best price.
decisions or maybe another time for just meetings.
It might be better
Process
here.
is gonna be used,
Okay.
like,
That's kind of not what I'm.
I already have
just
one.
helping you.
So instead of saying that, you're just asking, so
Right here?
when would you need it? You wouldn't have to start with that question. Don't,
Right.
always make
So
it
not
worse.
to use one department,
Make it-
yeah,
Maybe
okay.
ask.
All of it needs.
Oh my God, I will see you. But
When is your?
I've already got my favorable from right here, right now.
Yes, sorry to hear
I'll
that.
sign on the dotted line, we'll send it
So I don't
over.
wanna feel this way at all.
That's a matter.
Okay,
And,
so
what would
you
I
just wanna
use
get
this
started.
to make
Right.
decisions?
Right here, in your office, if you give me a good price. I'll have price.
Yeah, John would have.
So we can start right here, right?
Alright.
So it's a good
Otherwise,
place.
it
Price
could
is
be a.
So how do you make decisions?
But that's pretty
I'm
much it.
trying
That's
to,
all the
you
ones
know,
that I-
Well, we don't wanna do
that.
No, you say, have we did
So,
this? Cause the-
what was the weekly job?
Yeah.
I'm trying to go through.
Well,
Yeah,
cause
let's
I
talk
think-
about it.
yeah, I think the problem,
Okay.
I think the process is not making the decision out of it.
What,
Right.
Oh, I'm a salesperson.
We haven't.
Yeah,
made
what
it
if you
I don't even know all these things.
Are.
And
So
so
Jason,
it's
we'll look like in there,
process.
15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
Have not.
So
So
even
the
if we make a
process
decision
works
today,
together. What is the process that you like to go through when you're making a decision?
how you make decisions around here?
Just like to drive a
Oh,
car,
yeah.
like to make sure that
Okay,
it's right to me, it fits me. And then I'm not gonna just like that.
So now that we.
Okay, so now we
know
are-
everything, what he does.
Sorry. Just me.
Okay. So now, so Steve and Chris,
Because he has his own
Color?
opinions about.
Okay, great.
where will this decision be made
Definitely,
on the car that you're gonna buy?
Do you wanna make
Well,
this
I'm
decision
hoping
today?
to make
Is
the
it safe?
decision
Is this, is there a deadline? When is this?
Prepared.
decision
Drive over
happening?
here to get started, see the car and everything.
Great.
Okay.
There.
Okay.
So,
And when is the car going to come to the car?
Today.
Today, okay.
Okay.
So,
Find the car.
you ready to sign it?
Process of it.
Okay, switch. Which side's right?
Oh, and how are you guys
So
gonna purchase
now
the
I'm
car?
the-
What are you gonna sell
Well,
me?
we have a loan.
I think
It's
Yeah.
approval loan.
Or how- Okay.
We just have to write up this
So thanks for meeting with me again.
Um,
I'll let- The last thing we
Okay,
discussed,
just
we
a
had
little
a
bit,
IT
give me
problems
paperwork, I'll
with
write it up.
So
You
you're
have a question
interested
about
in
this-
PEO
this
services?
decision
Yes,
process?
yeah, car was
What did I
really easy.
do?
Yes.
Was the last thing you decided to go with it?
No, I wanna be a car salesman. That was really easy.
Go ahead, do it.
And now you're-
Whatever you need to do, just switch.
No, I mean, literally, I wanna be a car, we already switched, we're done, that was way too easy for us. Yeah. So Chris, what do you think?
So I usually meet with the person first, when I take them, and.
I
Right now, it's general studies, but I want to study.
10 seconds.
It's a lot about fun.
That you are, or you want the person that you might
It's all
choose.
good over that. It's just-
You can do direct connect.
So you thought that
It
would
floats with that.
Zach, I'll call you later and we'll do it over the phone.
Associated with all-
I mean, so they're like,
Yeah. I got out of the military last year.
That's why
I
I
had some credits before.
You're here
And
because.
once I
If we're a match.
once I got back,
Hey, Zach, I've got the mic down because it's echoing in here. If you need me, just type into the chat.
Okay.
And I will turn the speaker back up so I can hear you.
Sounds good.
Possibly, I feel like adolescents, I want to go for adolescents. But I'll see around that time.
Who's gonna be involved in
Because
it?
it's-
Okay, all right. Stop what you're doing. Pencils down, test is over.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you find any interesting challenges? She loves selling cars. We discovered
Yeah,
that. She's
I'm
been
no
selling-
longer doing mortgages. I'm not
I
having
know.
That was so freaking easy.
I feel like it's a challenge a little bit because I mean, once we got the pain and we got everything to budget, so why would we need to ask all these questions?
Well, some of them you may know the answer to. That's a good, glad you brought that up. You're going to get to the point where you already know a lot of the decision-making process. That's why this is there's a lot of pitfalls in this particular step, because it is the easiest of the three, but it's also the one you mess up the most, believe it or not. Well,
I don't know. The pain one is pretty
the,
hard.
the pain is hard too, but once you get good at pain, you'll find yourself skipping decision a lot. And that's why I come back to it, because that's where I've gotten bitten a lot. I found pain, and then I find out there's a backup decision maker I didn't find out about. Somebody's no that can override their yes. That's one of the questions we.
Yeah, you put a girlfriend in there, and I was like, call her. Confidence her in.
It's not always for me. It's not always the office manager making a decision. It's her boss making a decision. But you don't need to talk to the boss all the time. You get to talk.
She's got to make the package all pretty, put a bow on it, and hand it to the boss. So you still have to sell her,
But
but
she
then you
doesn't-
have to sell the boss.
But she doesn't make the ultimate decision.
Right.
So you find that out a lot.
And
So
you don't necessarily have to use all the questions, right?
I'm going to
If
say.
you know them. by
I'm going to
then.
say you have to use them all until you know the answer.
Until you know the end, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like just not like once I know the answer, like in the beginning, just not repeat it again, or maybe to
Like you say, just to clarify,
clarify.
Yeah.
You
I-
and your
I-
girlfriend are buying the car.
you and your girlfriend are going to be making decisions. I'm sorry you've heard this before, but I'm slow. We need to repeat everything. Is it just to make sure we don't get confused? You always have the right to back up. In fact, that's a good idea. It's like, hey, let's back up, and you actually move the chair back. Let's back up. We're getting too far ahead here. Just to clarify, would you tell me about this again? You always have the right to do that. And sometimes it's in your best interest to do so. There's really no wrong way to do this as long as you're asking questions. If you're getting them involved, if you're following the 70-30 rule, remember that one?
you talk 30, they talk 70.
If they're talking, they're buying. A silent prospect is not a prospect.
How do you do
The
the?
audience.
How do you convey all this over the phone? Because I'm not usually face to face with people. I'm usually on the phone with them. So how do you?
There's a different ratio, I think, right?
It's still 70-30,
It is still, okay.
at least.
But what
It
would
can be
you do?
90-10.
Like when you're face to face and you back the chair up, what impact would I have on the phone with them? Just say, let's back up.
Okay, well, how do we back up on the phone?
Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, that's good. No, did you hear what I did?
Side.
Okay, before we go any further, because when you hear me do that sigh, what are you thinking?
Oh, he's thinking about something.
Whoa.
There's a moment.
There's a change coming. There's something coming.
Bad news.
Bad news, maybe.
The sigh is the customer?
No, me.
Oh, okay.
I use that. Now I call it the showman's sigh. He says he stole it from somebody else in Sandler. He calls it the Sandler sigh, but I've heard him use it in person. Someone will say, "So wait, you're saying this, you're saying that," and they'll go, "I don't know, that changes things." Can I ask you some more questions? And he goes, "Columbo." You've all seen Columbo.
I love it. I love it.
He is.
Oh my gosh, you haven't
He
thought
is
about
the
that.
ultimate Sandler salesman. Wait,
Yes, he
can I ask you one more thing? Because he makes everybody feel okay, right? He's got
Oh,
the
yeah.
army suit, he's smoking the stogie and everything. And then as he's going out there, oh, before I go, one more thing. Zing!
Mhm.
Columbo, if you want to learn how to do Sandler, I suggest
Watch
watching
Columbo.
Columbo.
Do a marathon.
Yeah, you guys probably put no idea. You probably don't even either.
I love
You know
Peter.
who Columbo? Yeah. Okay.
I watch Peter
I'm
Falk.
not that dang, but
He's not with us anymore. Peter Falk passed
Yeah.
on.
I love watching Peter Falk.
But
I love
if you
it.
wa-
So good.
If you get the live TV here, you know, the digital channels, if you all have that antenna on your window, it's $80. Get it. You get all these free channels. There's like a couple hundred free channels you get around here.
On your window of your house or your car?
And the window of your house, you just put this thing up on your window and it's a digital antenna and you can get all the local channels. Plus they have sub channels of all the local channels, and channel 2.2 is Me TV, you know, motivational entertaining or whatever it is, memorable entertaining, but they have Columbo on there all the time. And so does
I gotta find this
6.2 has decades. They have old, they put a lot of, it's all the free reruns they can put on there where they don't have to pay royalties. So
Oh.
you get, but we get to see Columbo. I love watching Columbo. Matt Locke is also good. He's a great questioner. You know, he's very, he's got the bonding rapport down. You know, he's got the tonality. And he'll just say, wow, you know, that's very interesting. You know, he's always smiling and getting them to feel comfortable. And then he gets them to reveal something that just kills their whole case. So, and they're good guys too. So, yeah, you want to, on the phone, you just use things. Here's what we want to get in a decision. Cast of characters. I want you to remember. Remember, Sales is a Broadway play put on by a psychiatrist. That's David Sandler's first rule he ever made. Sales is a Broadway play put on by a psychiatrist. You are acting the whole time. You're not letting them see the real you. You don't need to, you leave your 6-year-old in the car. If you want to make friends, go make friends. If you want to sell, sell now, make friends tomorrow. Okay? You want to build trusting business relationships, because if you get emotions involved, if you get emotionally involved, you risk, what do you risk? Getting burned, getting hurt, right? I can't tell you how many clients I have that I think are my good friends until I find out they make some business decision that screws me. And I get pissed. I get emotionally involved.
How do you do that?
I have to back off. I have to say, we weren't friends. We were business associates.
It's weird when you're
No,
actual
I've
friends do
never-
that too.
How do you make
Say
your
it.
body and your mind do that?
It's hard. That's all I'm going to tell you.
I'm
I'm 62. I'm still struggling with it. Okay.
I need a lot of examples of that.
There's a lot of
how
people.
to do that.
Well, you have to separate yourself and realize they made a business decision.
No, I'm not talking about that.
No.
How do I go into it and leave my emotions out? And I
Wow.
couldn't leave my 6-year-old in the car because they would get taken. And
Well-
that would be the only thing in my mind that my 6-year-old's going to get taken.
He's
But-
saying your 6-year-old mentality.
And she knows when. Yes, it's the parent-adult child. Remember, you've got your
I know.
nurturing parent, you've got your adult logical person, and then there's your emotions.
Okay. So,
How much of your emotions do you show during a sale?
Very little. Very little thing, right?
I'm holding this number. What's number I'm holding?
Zero.
Zero. You
So-
don't. They don't need to see the. Why do you want to expose yourself like that?
They're the
Don't
ones
do
that
that.
need to show their emotions.
Right. You want to speak to your nurturing parent. 70% of the time is speaking to their 5-year-old, 6-year-old, to their child, their inner child, right? And then 30% of the time, that 70-30 comes up a lot. It's adult to adult. Okay. You're selling to their emotions. And then your adults are justifying it.
So I had an incident where somebody was really, really interested in the business and you know,
You got excited.
I was excited and I was, you know, panicking because this person was big time and I was like, okay, can I keep up, you know? But at the same time, I was like, I'm not sure this is going to go through. I kept feeling like it wasn't.
Mhm.
And when the person, and I said, I'm not going to get attached to the no. So when he says no, that I will be perfectly fine. And the phone call came
No.
and there was a no. And I said, oh no, that's totally okay. And they all, grown man, like had tears in his eyes because he thought I was going to be emotionally distressed over this. I'm like, no, I'm not attached to no's. So,
And that's the
so
way you
feel
need
free
to
to
be.
say that. Yeah.
You
And
always
they
want to.
hung up and I was perfectly fine.
You got to leave that as an option. Always, no is an option. And you don't want to get emotionally involved because I don't want to see any of you going out there getting your face kicked in. Okay? I don't want to see you get hurt.
And this person was making money off of me.
Right, and no, and a lot of times people are doing, one thing okay, this is a personal story. My dad was a Supreme Court judge, okay, for New York State. He saw criminals every day. He saw mentally ill people every day, right? You know what he told me, one of the greatest lessons he ever taught me? Is he never met anybody who didn't think what they were doing was the right thing to do at the time.
Yeah.
Huh?
He never met anyone who didn't think what they were doing was the right thing to do at that time. Okay? People don't go out and do things, say, this is evil.
Right.
Nobody thinks they're evil. Now, they may be evil, but they don't think they are. They think what they're doing is what's best, not only for them, but for the world.
Even villains.
Even Hitler thought what he was doing was best for the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
He thought, I'm going to organize this place, and okay, I'm doing a lot of bad things, but in the end, it's going to be for the good of everybody. And, you know, the world's biggest villain that I can think of, even although Stalin killed more, he was even bigger. He still thought what he was doing was the right thing. And when you're dealing with people, what they think they're doing is they think they're doing the right thing. And even if they hurt you, they're rationalizing in that. Well, I did what was right. Okay. And sales is a place where you can get hurt really easily if you get emotional about it. Because what's the 11th commandment? It's okay to lie to a salesman. All right? You know that story, right? About the guy who, you know, Eric tells the story. He was, you know, at home. He was having dinner, and the phone rings. He picks it up and goes, hello, this is so-and-so from Arthur Miller Dance Studio. How are you tonight? So he knows it's a sales call. So it's trying to sell him dance lessons. And she kept going on, kept saying, look, I have a dinner. I actually am interested. We'd be interested in dance lessons, but please, can you call back after dinner? She wouldn't give it up. She could hear her flipping the pages, you know? Go to the script for call back later. And she just starts reading off the script. And finally, just to get her off the phone, says, look, lady, I only got one leg, okay? Bye. And his daughter at the table said, Daddy, you don't have one leg. You have two legs. He says, no, I just said that to get rid of the salesman, okay? And so what's he teach his daughter? It's okay to lie to a salesman. Well, the next day he's backing out of his driveway, and a garbage truck comes around the corner. Bam! T-bones him. Before he woke up in the hospital, he had this vivid dream where he remembered he was in front of St. Peter. And St. Peter said, all right, we've been looking over, your life's been pretty good, but anything new in the last 12 hours we should know about? And he said, well, I told an Arthur Murray dance salesman that I only had one leg. They said, you know, you lied to a salesman. It's okay. We're still letting you into heaven.
Yeah.
Is that a true story? I don't know, but I've heard it told so many times. It's got to be true. But they think it's okay to lie to you. What are the Sandler rules about lying? All prospects lie all the time. The first two pains they give you are what?
No, not the real pain.
They're not the real pain. They're logical pain.
Surface, yeah.
It's the rule of 3+. You got to go 3+ pains to find out what's the real emotional pain. And believe it or not, even in your business, Zach, for cartons, there's somebody who, if they don't get the right cartons, they're going to be in pain. They got to buy the right thing. They got to get the right mortgage. They got to have a person who's going to make sure they get into their house on time. They got to make sure their future is insured and they're not paying too much. They're not getting bled. Somebody doesn't put it in an unrated carrier or something like that. You know, whatever with us, we want to make sure we don't put them with a PEO that rips them off.
But I have to believe in what I'm doing, and my emotion is part of that. Like, I could never sell Chris a Hugo because a Hugo is going to freaking blow up on him and his girlfriend. I could sell him or whatever Hugo, whatever, however you say that car name. You probably guys
What's that?
Yeah.
But
I could sell him a Toyota because it's a good car. Or, I'm just using that as an example, but
She wouldn't work.
Okay, now I don't know why
I
that's
couldn't.
related, because of course you're going to be emotionally involved and believe in your product, but you don't have to get emotionally involved in the sale.
Right.
Answer.
You keep the emotions out of the sale.
And become
Because
more scripted instead of
I
speaking
am-
from the heart and doing it from
all
the heart.
of you are capable of going out and selling and being great salespeople. What I want is for you to be tough. I want you to have a mental toughness where nobody's going to kick you in the teeth. And if they do, you're just going to say, he tried, he missed.
So
Swing and a miss.
My tagline that I do everything from my heart, I need to leave that out of my vocabulary and not do that anymore. I need to do it all from my head. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, just practice.
I don't think there's
Helping
anything
them
wrong
from
with it.
your heart, but when they when they don't want your
When my
help.
heart gets involved, I'm emotionally involved, so I really gotta work on this. I'm just trying to figure out how.
Well, if you're
How do I
emotionally,
begin
no,
now?
listen,
from here instead
I-
of here?
Say it out loud.
all of us here love what we do. We wouldn't be doing it if we didn't love what we do. We believe in what we do. That's emotional, but
Well, it also supports our.
I'm not going to let somebody else
why we do
mess. You can work with your heart. You can lead with your heart, but you don't want to leave it hanging out there on the table so people can smash it. You know, that's what I'm saying. Is when you're in the call, when you're on the sale, you know, sell today, make friends tomorrow. Okay, do business first. Then once the business is done and the trust level's built up, then you can start being friends. But I found out, Kathleen and I had, we were sitting down with a couple who had this real estate company. Remember, we actually went to the PEO's office. We're sitting in there, we're joking, the wives are joking about what we each call our wife Vanna, you know, Vanna White, and what they're going to do together, what we're going to do socially. And we let ourselves down. We got emotionally involved. We thought, well, these would be nice people to be friends with. And they told me, he said, let's make the deal. He said, well, I need to check with my lawyers. Call me Monday. We'll make the deal Monday. First of all, whenever you hear that, what did I do wrong? What are we discussing today? Right? There was a decision maker I didn't know about, wasn't there? He's got to check with his lawyer. So we made that mistake. That's one of many mistakes we made. Okay, we got emotionally involved with friends. I called them Monday morning. What happened? Went to voicemail. I texted him. I said, I tried to call you. You said you were going to answer. What should I do? He says, give me an hour. I'll call you back. Did he ever call back? No. So all buyers lie all the time. So what you know, but we got emotional about it. We thought they'd be a nice couple to be friends with. Now I could sit here and make the trite remark. They were realtors, so what do you expect? Because I have a low opinion of realtors. I do. I think they're like this far below, just below used car salesmen. But that's my problem. But the fact is, who made the mistake there? Was it him? It was me. It was, well, and she didn't know, so she can't be blamed for that. But we got emotionally involved. We thought this not only going to be a great client, we're going to be friends. We're going to go at dinner at each other's houses and stuff like that. And we should have waited. We should have pushed all that off. When they started doing that, it should have like, hey, let's make the deal first before we start, you know, planning our next vacation together, okay? You know, and I think he would have respected that. I mean, this guy was a
It would have made
salesman.
me feel uncomfortable if I was going down the friend a little bit.
If they start getting friendly, go like, hey, we can, you know, let's make sure this deal, let's not get distracted. However you need to do it, but keep it on track. And part of that is figuring out.
Yeah, the B2B, I don't go through that at all in the B2B world. I don't go through the friend.
This was B2B.
I don't go through the B2B stuff. That's pretty much all business. I mean, I'm friendly with them, and I'm not going to hang out and go places and do stuff.
But see, I watch you too. I want to go hang out with you. You go to see Night Ranger. You did all these cool things. I'm waiting for you to say
I
text.
want to keep my personal life personal because for me, what I do, it's like almost 24/7 because I'm IT, so I'm on call. So I don't want to talk to people outside of my family and friends that are my true family and friends. Because I don't need a whole other level. Because then it becomes, they feel like they're obligated, they're able to call me whenever they want to. Because now it's a friend thing.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Well, now you're too cozy, right? Oh, he'll even come to my house and fix my PC for free. No, I keep the boundaries up. That's how I do. I just have to.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I won't.
Your
do it.
business is a lot more transactional though than some of our other businesses.
Well, yeah.
No, we're not going to. I'm not going
This
to allow
is
that.
not
Hold on,
just
Angie. I'm not
transactional.
allowing that kind of talk. We are all in sales. All of our business is transactional.
Well, yeah, but
Okay, well that's true, John.
We are all in sales.
we need to know how many kids they have. We need to know
That's-
both of our businesses. You got
That's
to get a
part
lot
of
more
your.
personal.
That's a technique. That's a
That's
care, a
technique.
quality of the business. Yes, but do you need to go babysit their kids?
Well, no.
Okay.
That's the
All
personal
right.
side he's talking about.
That's
No,
just
I
part of the data you need to collect.
See,
It
what-
sounds harsh, but you're not in sales to make friends.
I'm not there to be friends. What I do is I have my client appreciations. So I'll invite 10, 20 clients this month. The guy, whoever became a client in November.
Mhm.
So I have my November client appreciation month. So all my past clients that became a client in November, we'll go get something to eat, we'll do top golf or something else. I appreciate it. That's when we hang out. Not friends, it's just like-minded people. Same thing with the December group of people.
every month is difficult. Just to keep that connection, maybe make them become advocates to refer other people.
Yeah.
You may eventually
Yeah,
become.
that's not the same
That's not
thing.
friends.
That's not the same thing. You're,
No,
you're,
So that's
hosting,
kind of how I.
you're hosting a client get together so that you can keep those clients engaged with you, and you're also helping them maybe meet other people. That's great. I love that idea. So.
You will make friends with your clients, but I don't want you to make your friends your clients. In other words, you make clients first, then later. You
Well,
know,
you're
you
much
don't want to
better at
rush
it
into
than
a
I am,
friend
'cause you're
relationship.
very military about it and very compartmentalized. I'm really struggling with this. I'm sitting here thinking of what my new approach is going to be because I do put that right there on the table. It's right there for them
Well,
to
Denise
smash
does
it.
that with her interior decorating too, because you'll get to the point where it's because a lot of times
You're
it's
a
other women and they want to talk, girl talk, and it's like, oh, it's great, I can talk, and it's like, so I'm on a business lunch and we're talking an hour about your personal issues, and how do I bill you for that? And she's in the dilemma of how does she get away with billing them for an extra hour at lunch? There was no talk about the business at all, about the house decorating.
But that was an appointment by the client that requested me there. So it was their idea to have the appointment and talk about house stuff.
So how do you get out of it?
It starts blurring the lines.
You stand your ground.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about the salesman bill of rights. Okay, there's a bill of rights for salesmen. One thing is you have the right to control your time. We've talked about time,
I'm
all
getting
right?
used to that actually.
What is the most important asset you have other than your health?
Time.
Is your time.
Oh,
Before that, health, time,
Time with
family.
joy.
Okay, you can't buy more time. Has anybody found a way to buy more time? I'm still waiting.
There was a movie about that.
You know, I know we're thinking about, will we be successful if we have money? Because a lot of people have the perception that they have time but no money.
That's what we sell.
That's a
That we have
perception.
more time.
You can always make money.
Time is more
Right.
valuable.
You cannot
than
make
money.
more time. So your most important, and that's not just you, that's the guy on the other side of the table too. Zach, that's that whole committee in there. They're giving you your time and you need to appreciate that value. First of all, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. Remember, that's the A and A not. I appreciate you taking the time to meet. I understand how valuable your time is, how valuable our time is. I'm taking an hour out of my day to sit here and talk to you. It's an hour that none of us will ever get back. Can we, I've done this in an upfront contract. Can we agree that let's try to make this hour productive? Let's look back on it and say, this was a good hour. What do we need to do to make this be a good hour? That's where you get their agenda. Okay? What are you hoping to get out of this hour? So we look back on it and say, that was an hour well spent. And so that's an upfront contract. And one of those things you want to get is the cast of characters. You want to know who are the leading roles, who's the trusted advisors. In other words, whose no overrides your yes. If you say yes, but you go talk to the wife or the CPA or the attorney or whoever it is, and they say, no, don't do that. That's not the right thing to do. You want to get that cast of characters. And also, the big players are the people who get affected by what you do. In Dwayne's situation, for example, when he puts in a new IT system, the owner and the IT manager are going to make the decision, but all the people in the company are now going to have to deal with a new procedure or, oh, it's a new phone system. I don't know how this stupid phone system works, And so you want to know who it's going to affect. Are they going to be part of the decision process? And then once it's done, once you know the cast of characters, you want to know if the person you're talking to is the decision maker or if the people you're talking to are the decision maker. There's 3 outcomes. The person you're talking to is not the decision maker. What do you do at that point?
Ask them to get them.
It's a wimp junction. If you keep going, knowing that you're not talking to a decision maker, you're on your own. Okay?
Kind of wasting time.
You're no longer part of
And theirs.
you're no longer
And
part of my
theirs, yeah.
system at that point. Okay? You're part of your own system. So you need to stop and say, how should we proceed? I really want all the decision makers here. But that's when you can make a decision on your own whether this person can become your white knight. Now, we talked about white knight a couple times, right? That's where you get this person so in pain and so convinced that they actually join your side. and then you can coach them and teach them how to sell for you. Are they going to do as good a presentation as you?
No.
No, so it's risky. So what you want your white knight to do is they're going to go into the board meeting and say, hey, you really need to hear this person. He or she needs to be here at our next meeting.
Right.
They really have a lot to share. So
You know, one of the things that I say in my sales pitch is, or not even really a sales pitch, it's
Right.
my thing, is, you know, I'm going to give you a lot of information and I expect you to maybe retain about an eighth of it. So tomorrow, call me and ask me any questions you want to ask me, because I've been doing this for 20 years and I did not learn this in one conversation. So I don't expect you to learn this in one conversation, but I need everybody here so that when I'm explaining it, at least you guys can bounce stuff off of each other, you know, and understand what it is that I said, and you guys can call me together and I can re-answer those questions.
so much wrong with that scenario.
Okay. Well, then fix me.
Okay, first of all, you shouldn't be sharing any information at this point. Why are you sharing information? You're there to get information. All right? You're there to find out if they're qualified. You want to find out if they have pain, if they have the budget, if they are the decision maker, if they are the persons you should be talking to, and you are a good match for them. They don't need to know your information. You don't need to open up your head and spill your knowledge on the floor. They also, this is harsh. Can I say something a little bit harsher? They don't care that you've been in the business 20 years. How many people, oh, we've been doing this 20 years. Is that really going to affect your decision as to whether to go with them or not?
Yeah, I don't want to do
No. No.
Yeah, I guess it would be.
It's not emotional enough, I don't think.
It's not, no, because have you been in the business 20 years, or have you been in this business 1 year 20 times? In other words, have you learned in the 20 years, or are you still doing the same thing you were doing 20 years
See,
ago?
that's what I think when people tell me they've been there for a long time, is I say you're stuck.
Yeah.
You're not growing. That's what I think when people tell me.
Because in the military, you would be stuck if you were there.
Well,
Same-
you
same
can throw
position.
about you're just in the same position. See, you're stuck. You're stuck in your ways. Show me that you've grown there in 20 years. Or I'm going to go to somebody that's fresh.
And when you're telling
You've been
somebody,
in the business.
you're telling somebody, I've been in this
Same
business 20
position.
years, what rule are we breaking?
Talk about yourself.
We're not talking to their radios. We're not asking a question. We're not appealing to what their problem is. Do our 20 years come in and fix their problem? Hey, it may be in reality it does, but in perception it doesn't. And what have we learned about sales? Perception is reality, right? So you don't tell them I've been in business 20 years. You say, Angie, your upfront contract is, there's a lot of information that at one point I'm going to share with you if we get to that spot. First, we got to go through the qualification process and see whether we are qualified to work with each other.
So would you say this is
I have to change everything. I'm doing it all wrong.
in this scenario today, we're talking about the decision. So would you say this is not typically happen in the first meeting, or this would be something that we cover at our first meeting?
Depends on the business. Some
Or the
businesses,
sales cycle.
some sales cycles are one meeting closes.
Okay.
Some of them are, like, I'm in somewhere I'm going for months dealing with like big companies in California that I'm talking to their HR director, and then she's getting me in to talk to the CFO, and then the CFO is going to get me and the CEO and everybody on a conference call. So do I get the decision? I actually go into paying budget decision immediately, right in the first, at least asking questions about it. But do I present? No. I don't make any presentations. I don't give anybody a quote till I'm ready, till I think it's time. Because now, do I always stick to this? No, I still screw up. I still end up sending out quotes before I should have. Because I think I had it all. And then I find out, oops, I missed something. Okay, so you're going to make mistakes. Okay, you're going to give somebody a quote. Your quote's going to get shopped around. It is going to happen. What I want to do is help you minimize that, and eventually get to the point where we all stop doing that, because we've already determined that's a lose-lose situation. Right? Nobody wins when they shop your quotes around.
Right.
They get a better price, but they get less service, and they get more chance of not keeping that client or not keeping that provider. I mean, I proved that with that one company that they went with ADP, and ADP had to lower the price to match mine, and then ADP canceled them because they weren't making any money on them anymore. Then they had to start the whole shebang all over again. Okay, so you want to get these three things. Remember, our purpose? The first meeting is first meeting.
Build rapport.
Build rapport,
Yeah, I don't know.
Train, gather knowledge.
That's the
Yeah.
answer. Find out things, to get information.
How do I, for example, in my world, I need documents. I need their tax returns or pay stubs or bank statements. You know, I need like all their personal information
But why do you
How
want
do I-
all that when you?
to
you
do a
not-
pre-approval with them.
Well, what if,
See what they can afford.
what if you could find out right away that they're never gonna go with you anyway? Do you still want that stuff?
Well, hell no.
Okay, there we go. That's what the purpose of all this system is, to find out the people that aren't gonna go with you anyway. So you don't waste your time on it.
I guess it's a good filtering system, really. It filters out, because, you know, all the people that I've met with, and I don't meet with new people all the time, but even the people I met with, you know, it's a good hour and a half by the time you drive, in your car, you spend time on the
Right,
phone,
right.
you get there,
Right.
everything you do, right, to get ready for these meetings, whatever those
Right.
things are. What could you expect? What if you knew you could have somebody you could talk to that's really the right person for you, rather than all that time wasted? How many more people could you see that you could probably get more business from than the other people you're wasting time on? I guess that's the point. And I'd rather get to the point where I'm not wasting time on those people.
Let me interrupt because it's past 11. I just want to get through this slide.
I don't
okay?
know that big.
If there are other people involved, you need to find out, do you proceed or you wait till they're present? And for in your business, no, you don't proceed. And I would say yours either, you don't proceed if they're not all present. And then qualified, what do you do before proceeding to the fulfillment step? And now fulfillment's where we're actually going to close the sale. We'll get into that next week, but actually we can go over this again. Basically, this is what I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're always going for a yes or no. And do use time travel. Did we discuss that? Like,
Yeah.
if I come up here tomorrow and I fix this pain and I stayed within your budget and I got all the decision makers here you all are, what would happen then? You can find that out. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong buttons. That's why this thing's not moving. This will happen. Somebody will tell you they're the decision maker. Have you ever had that say, I made the decision? And then you find out later they don't make the decision?
I've done that.
You can try to find that out up front. Well, is there anybody's no that can override your yes? It's a direct question. You might want to ask permission before asking that. You say that, can I ask you a very direct question? If I said that to you, Steve, can I ask you a very direct question?
Sure.
You're going to say, yeah. So I now have your
Because
permission.
that's how he is.
I now have your permission. Say like, whose no can override your yes?
Only one person, me, my wife.
Your wife.
She's the only person override.
So she can override you. There's nobody else. There's no lawyer, parents, attorney, CPA.
Okay. I said my wife.
So if you two are both here and you both say yes, what happens?
If we both say yes, then we're
Yeah.
moving forward.
We're moving forward. Okay, that's all I want to hear. See, now you know who the decision maker is. You know,
I want more customers like you.
that.
We're pretty simple.
Question 3.
Not simple, but
What if we went ahead and did this? Would anybody be upset? Would anybody question you if we went ahead and did this?
Oh.
Okay,
Big question.
and they say like, no, I make decisions. You mean you don't get any help? You're all alone. And sometimes somebody say, well, they expect me to do this, and you say, like, well, who are they?
Like,
Okay,
you need to send the slide out. I don't have the slide show yet.
yeah, I haven't received any.
find out whose no overrides their yes. Never take no from someone who can't say yes. You can't lose anything you don't have. You know that. Don't give out any free consulting. You don't need to collect all that information if they aren't
so
going to
bad
close.
at that.
It's called don't
So
spill your
bad.
candy in the lobby.
I
Right?
did that too.
I gotta work on
You
that.
don't need. There's no reason to share information if they're not going to be a client.
So I've done that so many times, and I've put up my guidance and still do it, like you're saying. It's like, this is not the time or place to talk about that. Let's set an appointment. Let's move on further in the process so we can talk more about
We
that.
aren't there. We aren't there yet.
We're not there yet.
We're still. You're on page 9. I'm still on page 3. Can we back up? I like the page thing too.
Yeah.
And
Way to kick the can.
are you going to be comfortable telling me no?
I gotta really
That's a
change
good
everything.
question. Are you gonna be comfortable telling me no?
So the checklist, you know about the 5 W's. You got to fill in the blanks: who, what, where, when, all. Who's the cast characters? Those you pretty much know all this stuff. So this week, find out the cast characters. Don't be a wimp, and don't spill your candy.
So go just
Yeah,
revamping one more time.
Okay.
If I'm in the situation again which when I started actually like selling again, and I'm talking to somebody, and I know I've got to the point where I've asked them, the decision makers aren't there, and they're not willing to get there. I have to come to a conclusion of what I want to do at that point.
That's if you go on,
So I need
You
to
have to-
decide at that point, because me making an IT decision sometimes comes down to ops manager's just weeding people out, and then she's got to take the information to the
So you're
manager
gonna see if
or
that
the CEO, and he's going to make the decision.
let me make it simple for you. If you continue to proceed and the decision makers aren't there, you are no longer in the submarine. You're out in the ocean.
So there's a fear tube that's been shot out, and I'm out there to like try to swim.
Yeah. You're out
And
there.
Shamu might just come eat me.
You're out there with the sharks and the orcas and the jellyfish and whatever else is out there. Okay. So that's your decision.
So do I ask them at that point, can we get decision makers involved in this process now?
Every conversation
I want the best way to ask them to
I
get
did
this.
that.
I want the best way to get the decision
You should do
makers
that
in the
outside.
room, or how to get them involved in that part. What's the best question? How to ask that question?
Before you get to the room, I think you want to.
Well, when you're in,
No,
you say like, is there,
Your decision maker
you
be there.
you do it by asking questions, right? I'll give you an example. I'll be you be the guy. So who needs to be here besides you? Who else besides you is involved in this decision?
Why?
My boss.
No, I'm asking you. Like,
Oh, okay.
I'm you,
Okay.
and you're the guy. Does your wife need to be
Just
here?
me.
No. You said there was somebody else who needed to be here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the CEO. He
Okay.
makes other decisions.
Can he be here?
To check the schedule. I'm not sure.
Okay. You want to do that now, or you want to wait?
I can try calling him.
I
He
think
might
that'd
not
be.
answer.
I mean, do you think that's the way to proceed? I mean, are we wasting our time without him?
Okay, I see what you're saying. I got there we go with this now. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. That's what I wanted to know.
I mean, you can hire me to teach you this stuff. I'm $275 an hour, by the way. You can write the check to my business to Net Complete, or I'll take your credit card right now. I mean, if you want me to be a consultant, I can be a consultant. But if we want to sell, I mean, does it make sense for us to go through it all? And then, I mean, if I show you what to do and then you go and tell it to the CEO, is it going to be as good as the one I showed you?
That's a good question, actually.
You ever done the thing where you pass the whisper
Yeah.
around the room? How does it change?
Big time. We haven't done it before.
Yeah, so wouldn't it make sense if we all went over this together? Now, again, at this point, you've already gotten pain,
Yeah.
and you've already gotten budget. So, or maybe it isn't. Maybe you realize right away he's not the decision maker. And they say like, hey, I've been sent here to go check this out before you go any further. Well, then you go into full question mode. What do they tell you to check out? Then you start finding pain indicators, and you go, if this is going to cost your company $50,000 a month, do you feel comfortable not telling the CEO about it?
Mm-hmm. Or if this is going to save your company, $2,000 a month, would you not be okay telling your CEO
Well,
that?
saving. So if we don't do it, it's costing you $2,000 a month,
Right,
isn't it?
yeah.
So
No, don't say save, but cost.
I mean, would he be mad at you?
Pain.
He wouldn't be mad at you for that, would he? That's a negative reverse. Hear that? He wouldn't be mad at you for that, right? That wouldn't matter to you and your bonus, would it? Well, those are kind of hard questions. Okay, we're way over our time.
Okay.
Quickly, any lessons learned? Somebody shout one out.
Stay towards the negative end of the pendulum
Mhm.
and have your pulley towards the set.
Right? There's just so many you can't think of them.
yeah.
Angie has to redo her whole conversation.
I do, because everything that I do is not the way I should be doing it. I need to record what I do. I know it's illegal, but I should record all of my things so you can pick them all apart and tell me what I need to do instead of what I'm doing.
Well, that's if you want to use this system. You want to use a different system.
Mine isn't working, so
Okay. So would it make sense to try another one?
sure would. I just reprogramming my brain. I've been saying the same stuff and doing it the same way all my life. And I'm old.
Anybody else have a quick one? Denise?
Your LinkedIn thing, because I'm not on LinkedIn.
You took mine.
Well, I said, I wrote down, I saw this
It's
about
for
you.
both of
What
you
did you
then.
see about me? I saw this about you, and what did you see about me that you wanted to connect?
And how can we work together?
Yes.
What radio station is this that everybody listens to?
Yeah.
What's in it for me? WIIFM. Yeah, you don't want to sell. You want to
Right.
network. The rule of 250. Don't forget the rule of 250. Okay. We're way
Wait.
over time, but it was good.
Since we're on LinkedIn, I had a question.
Okay, hang on, Zach, go ahead.
How do you get to go from the just talking to them phase and trying to build up a little trust to then trying to either make an appointment or going for sales?
Do you ask them questions?
Yeah, because so far for me, I mean, you said you didn't like it, but the majority of the times I actually get responses from people. I say, how's your day going? Or I wish them I hope they had a good Easter weekend, and they respond and we start a dialogue. But then how do I switch it from that to, I work for a printing company and I see that you're a purchasing agent for your company. Is there a way that we can meet?
I like that.
Yeah, that's natural.
Say that again?
What he said, is there a way we can meet? What if you said, Zach, what if you said, and I've muted you for a second because the echo is weird in here. What if you said, like, okay, I work for a printing company and I see you're the purchasing manager. Is there something we need to talk about there? Would that work?
I mean, I can try it out.
Here's one you can use, guys. It's a free one. Well, actually, you're paying for this, so it's not free. Would it make sense for us to sit down and have a cup of coffee? Or, take 15 minutes to see if there's some way we could work together.
I think he's talking about a transition from, hi, how you doing? How's your day?
Well, what he said was good, right? Said,
That's why I asked him to repeat it.
I see you're the purchasing manager for a company. My company does printing that you might be able to use. Would it make sense for us to talk about that? Let them initiate it. You're just kind of laying it out there. Say, it's up to you now. If they say, well, I'm willing to listen, and then I would say, listen to what? Because that's one of those pushy off things. Well, I'm willing to listen. I had a guy say that once. He said, I'm willing to listen to you. And I said, well, I'm planning on listening to you. I was hoping you're going to do most of the talking. And he got real quiet. I go, why is that? He says, well, I'm here to fix your problems. How can I do that if I'm talking? And then he said, okay. And he proceeded to talk. Have you tried that? Zach, try that this week. Just say, like, hey, would it make sense for us to get on the phone for 15 minutes and see if there's a match?
Yeah, the majority of the time that I get to that with people, they usually say, oh, no, we're good.
Okay,
Or,
I can live with that. Are you good for now or good forever?
yeah, that's my biggest thing is I got to try to figure out a better chance or a better way of saying, I know you might be happy now, but maybe in 6 months or in a couple months, are you going to be looking for someone new? So I just got to remember to follow up like that.
Well, there's a good one. You got a calendar. You can say, all right, pick a number, 6, 9, or 12. And they'll say, what? It says, well, how many months should I call you back in?
Oh, I like that.
And if they say anything but 12, I go, really? I thought you were a 12-month. Is there something I should know? I just keep asking them questions until they finally start asking me questions, and then I reverse them. It's just all questions.
Okay.
I've also said to them, so you don't need my help right now. Is there any other way I can help you? Just to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
And they'll say, I don't know, what can you do? I go, that's a good question. Should we sit down and talk about that? Is there anybody that you need to meet that I might know? You've got to come up with your own, style for that. My company does a lot of things. I know some people. Maybe we could just network together. Would it make sense to sit down and compare notes and see where we overlap and where we don't?
Yeah, that could work.
Try that this week. Let us know how that goes next week, okay?
Okay.
Can you say that again, John?
I will just a minute. Okay, everybody, I'm going to stop this thing. All right. I hope the recording stopped.
The last thing that you just said, could you say that again?
I said a lot of things. What's the last thing?
Along the lines of, I know a lot of